Hello everybody and welcome to Decepticats episode 8. I am Decepticats here bringing you another user submitted replay. But before we get to the action, I just want to let you all know that I've been doing some live casting. Yes, I have. And guess where I've been doing it? Over at ShalesyCast.com. So if you want to check out some pretty cool live casting, you can head over to ShalesyCast.com. There will be a link over in the info section of my YouTube channel if you want to just click over there. Otherwise, you can figure out how to spell that on your own. But yeah, I've been doing some live casting over there. It's been pretty fun. Done some pretty fun stuff, some point of view things. So yeah, well, without further rambling about the other things I've been up to, let's go ahead and get this action going. Over here as the Red Eldar, playing as the Warlock, with a pretty cool paint scheme there. Actually, I have to pause a moment and say it looks like he's actually set that up for this map almost. We have NomNom Exarch Tarvitz, who shall be called Mr. Nommers for the purposes of this cast, and his opponent, the Blue Lord General Sheffy. Alright, let's get this business started.
Commander here. Go ahead.
Sheffy going for a Sentinel, and NomNom is going for another Guardian squad. Because you know what? Guardians are pretty good.
Cadians are always ready.
Kind of like Sheffy's paint scheme as well for the IG there, that they always look good in green. Gives them a more human feel. Typical, well, actually pretty much symmetrical caps here coming out. Sheffy heading for the mid with his Sentinel actually likely making a beeline for this requisition node. And he's going to bump into those Guardians on the way. They were in cover for a moment there, but they tragically stepped out of it. They're stepping back in, but they're being flanked, so it doesn't matter. And the Sentinel just knocks it all over anyhow. And now he's decapping that precious natural requisition node before it has a chance to mature. Meanwhile, Sheffy has gotten a second squad of Guardians, and his first squad is capping this victory point. Additionally, his Lord General is down here having a good time by himself. Oh no, the Warlock has come to spoil his fun. Sheffy will likely, yes, jump into this building to shell away at this Warlock, but NomNom is no fool. He will not stick around. He speeds off. NomNom has made a 2-generator investment so far. Not going for that third Tier 1 squad quite yet, likely going for a Tier 1.5 squad, such as Rangers or a Shuriken, more likely a Shuriken against the old IG, as single model losses are pretty much irrelevant to Guardsmen, reinforcing 2 and then 3 at a time as they do. This is interesting. This Warlock seems to be smaller than these Guardsmen. Makes him slightly less intimidating, doesn't it? Right now we've got a 3-cap up for Sheffy, where NomNom is struggling a little bit here. He has his full gen farm up, however, but so does Sheffy now. First Shuriken cannon coming out for our pal NomNom here. No war gear for either hero yet, but I do believe, and no sergeants for these guardsmen yet either. I'm surprised by that. But I bet we're gonna see some war gear on this Warlock soon, due to NomNom's big power investment early. Although, here comes the second Shuriken cannon queued up. Shuriken being used to cap at this point. Sometimes that is necessary, although most of the time I prefer myself to never use a setup squad to cap. If it can be avoided, it must be avoided, because things like this happen. Ah, that Sentinel should be dying now, but he's not. And he won't be. Because now he's just going to march right up. He's going to take a bunch of hull damage there, but then he's going to get that stomp off and force that Shuriken right back out of there. Seems to have bugged a little bit with Sentinel pathing. I believe Colaris or someone identified that there is a little bit of a weird check in the scripting for Sentinels that allows them to block retreat paths quite a bit more effectively than they should. That Warlock is getting out of there at desperately low health, but his Shuriken Cannon is able to cover his retreat. Even caps now on victory points at this point. However, Sheffy is dominating in map control still, and that has allowed him to jump ahead to Tier 2. This is the frustrating no power IG Tier 1. He does have a Sergeant on both Imperial Guardsman squads now. Nice stomp on these Guardians. Just get them out of there. Just squish their little heads. But here comes the double Shuriken arc here. Back Shuriken covering the front. Oh, both these set up at the same time. That is a risky move. You want to sort of leapfrog your Shurikens so that they cover one another. Now a side-by-side setup, if this had moved just slightly a little bit further forward, this Shuriken Cannon could have covered it slightly. Lord General taking this victory point back, and the 3 cap is about to be up for Sheffy again. But no, NomNom says, no, 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 sir. I'm going to take this southern point, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. Oh, but wait. That's a Sentinel, isn't it? Well, screw it. He's a Warlock. He can take on a Sentinel. No big deal. He's stabbing that guy. Once again, using the Shurikens to cap. Tier 2 about halfway up for NomNom at this point, but Sheffy's already got a Chimera on the way. That's going to be pretty tough for NomNom to deal with. He is going to have to grab some anti-vehicle right away at hitting Tier 2, or do some clever play. This Guardian squad is perilously low. It needs to get out of there. 100 health, 90 health, 1 member. Escape Guardsmen's. It doesn't look like this Lord General is going to force melee, so these guys might get out of here. And his squad members do switch targets there, and both those Guardian squads make it out at dangerously low health. And that Shuriken driving that blob of infantry out of there. The Sentinel also got taken out. Both players are marking on how lucky it is that those Guardians made it out of there alive. And here comes that Bright Lance for NomNom, a very good decision, I think. If he'd had the power, it might have been pretty good to go for a Wraithguard squad there. We do see a heavy turret going up for Sheffy right next to the power node of Sheffy, or of NomNom. That is going to be a problem if it ever decides to start shooting. It's kind of doing a little head bobble there. A little back and forth dance. It's also going to cause problems for NomNom as he is retreating. If his units choose this path here, they will get shelled on their retreat. This Bright Lance now had a decent firing arc, it looked like, but now it seems he's been right-click targeted onto the Chimera, which often causes setup teams to do stupid things like close distances they desperately do not want to close. This Chimera now has to be careful. If he peeks out, he'll get shot a few times. Bright Lances don't do a lot of damage with each shot, but they do fire quickly. This Shuriken team is just sort of hanging out after capping that point, taking a breather. Lugging that thing around is hard. It is heavy. Even though it's on jets and being driven, you know what? It's still a lot of work. They gotta stay around that thing. They can't just let it wander freely. This is a pretty awesome spot for this Bright Lance to set up. It covers both the Chimera and the turret. And now that Bright Lance is hammering away at the Chimera, but those Guardians are repairing. These Guardians have a grenade, but they're not using it. This is a troublesome lesson that is hard for us lower to mid-level players to remember, to use the abilities our units have, especially when there's a great opportunity like a giant guardsman blob, which is perhaps the best time to use a grenade. And it looks like NomNom has realized the ripe opportunity he has here. His Guardians are getting close, but they decide not to throw that grenade after all. They're going to get back in this green cover and hunker down. However, it looks like their Warlock is just hanging out outside of cover because he is a baller and he doesn't need cover. You know what? He's just going to stand out in the open and just zot